And the winner is
Ben Stiller and Puffy the dog in There's Something About Mary.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you very much. Woo! This is crazy. Man, I can't believe this is it's incredible. I'd like to thank the Farrelly brothers. And yes, the Farrelly brothers, great comedic filmmakers. My agent, Nick Stevens, thank you very much. And I wish Puffy could be here, but see, I knew I was going to have to do this. All right, I got to do it. I got to explain this. Puffy the dog isn't really real. Well, okay, let me put it this way. He's about as real as Jar Jar Binks. That's right. He was created by the same incredible effects wizards at ILM, George Lucas's company. Let's take a look at how this was done.
To create the excitement of a man battling a crotch-biting dog, the Farrellys turned to the computer geniuses at George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic.
Actually, we would have loved to have worked with a real dog, but Ben has it in his contract he won't work with dogs, and God knows we had a lot of trouble talking him into just working with Matt Dillon.
By that point, I was so hammered, I said, F it, let's just go with the special effects.
Creating alien creatures and spaceships is one thing. You're allowed to use your imagination. But a dog is a creature of the real world. Something a lot of us here just weren't too familiar with.
First, a team of computer effects designers meticulously studied the actions of a real dog.
Action, Ben! Ah! Ah!
Then, my performance was shot against a blue screen.
Okay, freeze, okay? I got 16 to the crotch. So what this is an actual dog that's going to serve as a reference to the virtual dog that we're going to create back on the computers in the studio.
As an actor, there's no greater challenge than fighting an imaginary dog. Finally, it was time to add the dog. There are no limits using Lucas's state-of-the-art graphic technology.
Is there any way you can have the dog bite my nuts harder?
Yes.
Really get a mouthful.
Okay.
Ouch. Good.
What I also can do is make your nuts bigger or have your nuts bite the dog.
We're not really sophisticated filmmakers, so we were pretty proud of that effect sequence.
You know what I'd love to do is computer generate Ben Stiller's entire performance if we do a sequel.
That'd have to be expensive.
To get that performance, you could do it with wood.
Peter and Bobby have a very distinctive style of filmmaking.
Peter seems to be the mouthpiece more. He's the guy who, kind of gives you the actual direction, and Bobby kind of hangs back. And then they'll confer. And the prop guy seems to have kind of an equal amount of say in the direction.
Most movies, you're just trying to make your day. You're trying to get everything that you're supposed to shoot in the day so that you don't have to keep trying to work to get your schedule done on time. And we would be working. It's like 7:30. We're gonna lose our light. We're working outside, and it'd be like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and Bob would be like, "Well, we kind of made our day, and if we start shooting the stuff for tomorrow, then tomorrow will be done too early to we'll be done by noon tomorrow if we start shooting tomorrow's stuff. And so hey, it's 5:30. Sounds like beer o'clock to me, right? It's like you're done, and you're off, and you're shooting quarters with the guys.
I have to say the most fun process, for me, in terms of filmmaking, is working with the Farrellys, because you're not really sure when the camera's rolling and when the camera isn't rolling. I mean, yeah, they say action and they say cut, but you don't tense up when they say action, and you don't, loosen up when they say cut. You're just happy the whole time. There's no containing with the Farrellys. I never heard smaller. I never heard bring it down or take it back at all. I don't think that's not the way they work. They kind of let you go where you're going to go, and they just worry about whether it's funny or not.
it was one of those scripts you go, if it works, it could be really, really funny. If it doesn't work, it could be horrible. It could be horrible and embarrassing. And in reality, it was both. That was really it was funny and horrible and embarrassing.
Peter and Bobby, they just have their finger on the pulse of comedy.
It's wonderful to go to all parts of the world and have people stare at your crotch and go, ooh, crotchy, crotchy, zipper.
You know, I have to say, like, my character's like the straight man in all of it, so I have to pretend like nothing's happening around me, so that it can exist as it does. And for the hair, you know, I have to say there was a little bit of resistance on my part with Peter and Bobby when they wanted me to do that. I always loved it in the script, but as we were going, I said, you know, the only thing, I made them promise me to consider this because, you know, with Pete and Bob, you know, they want the laugh. And so I was like, okay, let's just consider this for a moment. Let's just, like, make sure that we don't discredit Mary, you know what I mean? Like, you're selling her as this girl who's, like, on top of everything, and she's, like, a babe, and she's a doctor, and she's smart. Like, just let's not discredit her that she wouldn't, like, that she's going to walk around like that, you know? But and they're like, what are you, crazy? They're like, it's the funniest thing that anybody will ever see in their entire life. What are you, crazy? And I was like, I looked at him and I went, you're right, okay, let's go. You know, I was like, what am I thinking, you know? And the minute I walked out, you know, we put my hair up with the gaff quat, which is like this really, really hard glue, hair glue, that Morgan, who was doing the hair, she put my hair up with the gaff quat, and, you know, we hair sprayed it up, and it's like sticking straight up, and it could have broken off at any time. And as soon as I walk out of the trailer, I have to cross the street off Collins Avenue, and we're walking across the street, and there's like all these people staring at me, and they're just laughing and pointing at me, and they don't even know what it's from, you know what I mean? Like, they don't even know in what context it is.
When I first met with Pete and Bobby to talk about the part, I had this idea when I was reading it that he should start to get this rash as the movie progresses, and it gets worse and worse. And when he finally sees Mary at the end, it's all puffed out, and his eyes are all swollen shut. And there was some debate about whether or not that would give away that there was something odd going on with me, or that maybe I was connected into the story more than we wanted people to think. And I mean, I think we found a way to sort of ease it in slowly so that people just thought it was some weird, like, quirk that my character had until it finally, at the end, the love blisters were full blown.
Nervous? Geez, you ever had a whitehead on your eyeball, Mary?
Chris just would come directly back into makeup, and then he'd come out of makeup looking exactly the same, which was interesting. It was when he was doing the scene where he had all the boils on his face. No makeup. I mean, little powder, that was it. So he's really, that's the other thing people don't realize, he's really a very method type actor where, you know, he actually got fixated on Cameron.
You know what cracked me up in this is just the way Matt looked in this movie. Hilarious, by the way, with the pencil mustache and the hair parted down. It was genius, that character, and the way he dressed. I mean, what was Mary thinking, first off? Like, it was just like, that was her heart, man. It was speaking. She was just giving this guy a chance. But he was, in the teeth afterwards, he was hilarious. And, you know, he had to walk around like that after, you know, that mustache was his, so he had to face the world that way.
The thing with the teeth was something that was in the script, and I assumed it would be something that, well, once the teeth were there, that we would go back and I wouldn't have the teeth anymore. And Bobby was like, absolutely not. We're going with that the whole way.
I just think it's one of his best roles, just because he plays that guy so straight, and yet there's sort of a level of not getting it, you know, that's going on.
Peter and Bobby, to their credit, really encouraged me to be totally real with this guy and really, you know, play it straight. Play this guy straight on real feelings and really right down the middle. And I think that's one of the things that was fun about playing Pat.
We got this one kid, Mongo. He's got a forehead like a drive-in movie theater, but he's a good shit. So we don't bust his chops too much.
You know, he's put it on a leash and let him run back and forth. You know, I mean, it's like, because it's not, it's like so subtle, and he's so earnest about it. Like, he so believes what he's saying is like, you know, that's really what he's selling it, man. He's so selling it that people just kind of go, wow, this guy's really serious about what he's saying. And sometimes, you know, it's fun to just laugh at that seriousness.
It's really like community theater on film when you do a Farrelly Brothers movie, because they're about, I don't know the rules of community theater, but apparently you're not allowed to have like that many professional actors in community theater. So they have like, I think they're like 1 or 2 SAG actors, that's Screen Actors Guild actors, that can be in the movie, and the rest are all their friends.
We call them FOBs and FOPs, friends of Pete, friends of Bobby, and you know, there's always, you know, the whole background is strewn with their friends. You know, everybody gets to be in the movie. And my dad came to the set, and Pete and Bobby were like, "Come on, you're in the movie. Let's go. You're in the movie." And my dad's like, "No, no, no." I'm like, "Pop, you got to be in the movie." He's the guy with the long black and silver hair. He's like the first guy through the bar. He's like, "Hey," you know, egging him on. And he felt very comfortable, I think, in playing that part.
Hey. Hey. Are you the little guy making all that big noise?
You know, a lot of movies you'll do rehearsals, or you'll, you know, have stunt coordinators and all this stuff, and there were people like that there, but I think it was just kind of like, well, this could be funny and that could be funny, let's try this and that, and that's what I remember about it. And then I also remember hitting my head.
Visita mi canal.
I hit my head, you know, that, like right in the beginning when the dog jumps out onto me and I go sliding back. They wax down the floor, and if you look closely in the movie, you'll see I go sliding back, and I hit my head on the base of a chair or something, and there was like it was, you know, no stitches, but it was like bleeding, whatever. But that's in the movie, because the floor was much slicker than when we rehearsed it, because they wanted to get a nice slide, and then, you know, and then we're just working. I remember the smell of the puppet dog had this weird sort of like musty sort of, like, it looked like a real stuffed, looked like a dead dog.
The shot when the dog goes out the window, they put the dog on this air cannon that was like this big around, and it had a big hole in the dog's butt, like that, and they would slide this dog onto the air cannon, and somebody would aim this dog at the window, and they'd be like, "Okay, action, fire the dog!" They
shot the dog, and it was like super, you know, like this, you know, like an air cannon. The dog went flying into the wall, and like almost took the prop guy's head off. So then Bobby, I believe, just threw the dog off camera through the window.
Magda and I run to the window, and, you know, a couple times we do it, and we're like, "Oh, Fuffy," what was his name? Muffin? What was the dog? Muffy. Muffy, oh no, Muffy. Puffy? Okay, let me try it again. Oh, Puffy. Puffy. See, it's been a while. I haven't seen the movie even in like 5 years. I'm sure. I'm like, oh, we're like Puffy, you know, and and then there's this one day they're like, "That was good." Bobby's like, "That was good. We're gonna try one more. Let's just give it one more time. Let's go." And we're like, "Okay." We're like, "Action!" And Magda and I run to the window. We look out the window. We look down, and there's Bobby's bare ass, like staring at. He's like over his shoulder with like this big crack, smiling at us. We screamed our lungs off. We were just like, you know, if you hang around with Peter long enough, you're gonna see I mean, I'm sure you guys know this, you're gonna see the weenie. Like, it's gonna come out at some point.
I did see Pete's penis frequently.
you're not going to know that's what it is because it's going to be wrapped around other parts of his body, possibly his ankle, his wrist. And, you know,
he's not very well endowed at all. In fact, it's very small, and you have to look, you know, twice to see whether it's his thumb or not. And sometimes it was his thumb.
What I like about what they do with films is the characters that they create, the dialogue. That's what's interesting to me in what they did. And that's what I liked about Something About Mary. My favorite parts of that film, of course the physical humor is also, you know, is sort of a signature thing in all their films, is the kind of physical comedy that they do. But the characters are what I like. I think they're really, really funny. There's a kind of a group of very memorable characters in all their films.
Just the experience itself, the sort of camaraderie and like the energy and the just easygoing, let's have a good time. It was really sort of the way that, you know, you don't get to always make movies, and it was just that experience of just going in there with, you know, Pete and Bobby, who are just amazing and create just the best atmosphere, and they bring all their friends and everybody's there, who everybody wants to be there, and you get to just laugh all day long, and to be able to go to work and laugh all day long is like, you know, you're so fortunate to have that, you know, and they're just, I would say Pete and Bobby are probably, you know, my fondest memory of that movie, just because their hearts are right in the right places, you know.
I find their stuff unusual because they're able to combine some sort of emotion in what they're doing with the kind of Marx Brothers slapstick, over-the-top humor. So you're allowed to laugh at this stuff that's really crazy, and at the same time you get caught into the story and you care about the characters. Even as stupid as the characters are, you find yourself investing in them, and that's actually, I think, their talent, because I don't think anybody else actually can do that. I don't think they have done that. I think they're I think that's why Something About Mary was a big hit.
That was no good. No good. Yeah, that was no good. We go that one. That was the idea. One more just like that.
When I first moved to Boston, which was in 1972, the day I drove into town, I went to the Harvard Common, which is an outdoor park. The Modern Lovers, which includes Jonathan Richman, were playing in the park that day. And it was the first music that I had seen. I went there to actually get into music. And as soon as I saw the Modern Lovers, I said, this is definitely the right place to be.
Modern Lovers that's the band that really struck home for me. And then after that, I followed Jonathan Richman's career as a solo artist. But the Modern Lovers, which was clearly under his control, had a certain simplicity about them then, too.
It was a unique, you know, original band, pretty rocked out, and very unique.
The Modern Lovers record is a really important record in the history of rock and roll, and sort of a bridge between the Velvet Underground and a lot of the later punk bands. You know, the Sex Pistols did Roadrunner.
Then Jonathan kind of gravitated towards doing music mostly on his own.
He changed directions completely. I guess he decided he didn't want to play rock and roll anymore.
He found that volume, playing at a rock volume, got in the way with the message he was trying to get across and what he was trying to do.
Basically, he'd go on stage with an acoustic guitar and play to the audience.
And a lot of the later stuff seems like it's almost oriented towards children.
Some people would applaud heavily, and some people would laugh at him because they really didn't understand his intellect.
Became pretty obscure until Something About Mary relaunched his career.
He just always had something that was different than everyone else. And he's always had that and always maintained it.
He travels around now with just a drummer and him playing guitar. And that's what matters, that simplicity.
He's very prolific. He must have 1,000 songs.
Jonathan Richman is criminally underknown. I think he's a very important figure in the history of rock and roll.
I have a friend who gave me some questions that are kind of weird. He writes for South Park.
Oh, cool. We saw the movie. That was great. Let's hear these questions.
Do you like ice cream? If so, what is your favorite flavor?
Vanilla.
What's the first car you owned? And how much did it cost?
Volvo. I got it when I was about 30 years old. Cost about $1,400. Was worth about $6.
And Tommy?
First car?
First car.
69 Ford Econoline.
What was your first job? Tommy, then Jonathan.
I haven't had it yet.
I was a messenger for a messenger company in Boston, foot messenger in the Boston's financial district. When we're not in the movies, Tommy and I have a nightclub show. I sing and play guitar and he plays drum. And before that, years ago, I started out as a late teenager with a rock band, and I had several versions of it. And so I'm from the Boston area, so I started out playing just wherever people would let me play for free. And once they heard me, the list narrowed. But I would play coffee houses and would play, you know, just wherever. I would just borrow people's amplifiers and turn them up real loud and make all kinds of noise. And like that, ran away with their hands over their ears, saying never again, saying do not let that person in this club. And once we had a band, though, I improved because I was only 1/4 of the whole sound, so people didn't run away, they just walked away sort of mumbling to themselves. So it was better. And a few people liked us.
If you could live at any time in history for 2 weeks, what time would that be?
Ooh.
You only get 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you don't have to trade, right? You can still come back to this one afterwards?
That's correct.
Okay. First, that's really good. I'd like to see what was going on in the Middle East around 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. Something like that, maybe. Or maybe Greece, right around 2,500 years ago, something like that.
Tommy?
I don't know. Southern California in the early 60s would have been a lot of fun.
You're right.
If I was in like a surf band or something. That sounds fun to me. But yours is good too. It's
Yeah.
just yours like got sickness and you know, all kinds of plagues and stuff.
So does yours.
Well, yeah, but a lot more fun though.
Do you collect anything?
Dust.
I live in Tucson, Arizona, and Jonathan came through there and had this idea he was going to use different drummers in different towns and different parts of the country. And I guess you did that for a while, right?
For several months.
And then he came to Tucson, and I never even met him. You know, I show up in Tucson. I was going to play Tucson and Phoenix with him. This was like 93, about 10 years ago. And we played the shows. We got along really well, and he goes, hey, you know, I got these gigs in Austin, and it went about another week, and we just hopped in my Toyota pickup and started playing shows, and that was probably 1,000 shows ago, you know. It's just like we got along pretty good.
These are good questions.
Yeah.
Is this all from that guy in South Park?
Yeah.
These are great. I wear like this, I got this brown, what is that, a Hamburg? A Stetson, brown Stetson with a brown band on it. And I think it's 7.5 or something.
And it blew off his head in New York one time and rolled. You were there, weren't you? Well, I mean, not that you're there because no one's there. It's just, but it rolled across the street and cars everywhere, and it didn't get hit. Remember that?
Something like that, yeah, really miraculous. Anyway, I love that hat. It's a brown hat.
That kind of makes you think that is my hat.
Okay, so I looked at the script, and first of all, I was kind of scared. I didn't know whether I would be able to make up anything good for it or not, because if it was a script that I didn't like, you know, the whole thing might have to have been off, at least that way. But I said, yeah, okay, I can do this. I called up Pete Farrelly and said, you know what you need? You need a theme song. He said, yeah. I said, yeah. So I said, you want to hear it? So I just, you know, played it for him, and that ended up being the theme song. Some of the other stuff had already been, there were other songs that he'd heard of ours before that he just apparently liked, like Let Her Go Into the Darkness. I didn't even see exactly how it fit into the movie myself, but if he wanted to use it, fine. He wanted to use another song of ours, True Love Is Not Nice, which also wasn't written for the movie.
Okay, it's a really hot day, about 4:16 in the afternoon. You're sitting on a porch. What do you want to drink?
So what time is it?
4:16.
Is it beer time yet? 4:16, sitting on a... I'd probably have to say maybe a Tecate and a little lime, you know what I mean? No, it's 6. What time is it now?
Probably about that. Sound good?
Let's go get a 6-pack.
There we go.
Same for you?
Yeah, sure. I personally was scared about falling out of that tree, though, at the beginning of the movie, because this, like, wardrobe people said, you know, they're going to set up all these stunt harnesses for you and all this safety equipment, but you guys aren't going to need it. Said, we're not? I said, no. I said, we've been out there and looked at it. Says, you're only going to be about 10 foot off the ground. There's going to be this big wooden platform right under you, probably with mattresses and everything. You won't need it.
That didn't happen.
No, that was the problem. It didn't happen. But yeah, it was a good idea. So we get there. It's not 10 feet. It looks more like 18 or 20. Like there's no pet mattresses. There's no platform. It's just these trees. And the stunt coordinator is up there smiling at us. He's there. What do you call it? When you stand in for the people so they can get the camera angles. Anyway, he's there with a prop guitar, just smiling, because he knows how to do it.
They have parachutes and stuff. They have everything, you know.
Yeah. And but he's just there, supporting himself on the tree limbs, some really great way that I didn't know how to do, you know. And he's there, you know, hi boys, and so well, come on up. And so it looks way long, and. Says, you didn't want your stun harnesses, so we didn't bring them. And so it just sit like this. And so you're sitting sort of like that, which I might have been able to do, except trying to play the guitar. And I'm not good at lip syncing. I don't know whether you would know that from watching that particular movie. But, so I was trying to lip sync, which is something I usually don't do. And trying to do all those things.
And then to add insult to injury, we got Peter and Bobby down below busting our balls, right?
Well, I wouldn't think, they didn't do that, did they?
Yeah.
They did. Well, they said all kinds of terrible things. Oh, so you don't need stunt harnesses, Douglas Fairbanks and Jackie Chan. How are you doing up there now? Were you scared?
Yeah.
Yep, so anyway.
I'm scared right now.
Yeah, see, in this carpet.
If you could be one other person, who would that be?
Tommy, because that way if he chose me, then we'd still have the band.
Yeah. We'd still have jobs.
Yeah. Let's get out of here. You gotta get bored with it. That's the end.